We're going to conclude our look at Lincoln and the Civil War with a few comments on the Gettysburg Address. And what prompts the Gettysburg Address, of course, is another battle, and it's the one that's probably most well known, the Battle of Gettysburg, which took place in July of 1863. And Gettysburg is in Pennsylvania, and so Lee now has taken the Confederate Army once again onto Union soil, Pennsylvania, trying to win a major victory. And the distance between the Battle of Gettysburg and Washington, D.C. was only about 80 miles. And so a Confederate victory would have probably allowed the Confederate Army to surround and maybe even invade Washington, D.C., and they would most likely have then gained recognition as a legitimate nation state by countries like England and France. So the Union prevails in this battle. There are so many casualties that it is decided to make the battlefield the location of a national cemetery. To dedicate it, Edward Everett will be asked to give the major address, and he will speak for about 2 hours. And then the unusual move was made, because this was uncommon at this time, to invite Lincoln to come and make some remarks at the end of the ceremony. So this is on November 19th, 1863. And the Gettysburg Address is printed on your study guide. And what I want to do here is make commentary on 3 major points that Lincoln establishes in his Gettysburg Address. Here's the first one. The Declaration of Independence is the founding document of the United States. Now, at this time, if you would have asked most people what's the founding document of the United States, they would have said the Constitution. But in the opening lines of this speech, here's what Lincoln wrote and delivered. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. So there, he's going back to Jefferson, and he's quoting from the Declaration of Independence, and he's telling everyone that the Constitution, although very important, contains a series of compromises regarding slavery, and what we need to do is go back to our actual founding document, the Declaration of Independence, and make that phrase, all men are created equal, an extension to include freeing slaves. Number 2, so Lincoln never uses the word slavery in the speech. He doesn't use the word Confederacy. This is a very lofty, idealistic speech designed to try to appeal to all Americans. What are our founding principles? And so when he uses the phrase, a new birth of freedom, this is again related to point number 1. What does all men are created equal mean today, in the aftermath of the Battle of Gettysburg? It means ending slavery. And then the third point that he makes, and this comes at the end of the speech, where he uses the phrase government of, by, and for the people. And then the very last few words are, I think, incredibly significant, because he says that government of, by, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. He doesn't just say from the United States or from North America or from Western civilization. He says from the earth. So Lincoln was a visionary. He believed that the United States needed to exist. It had been created to promote the cause of government by the people on a global scale. It wasn't just about preserving the United States. It was a war about the cause of government by the people on a global scale. So that's number 3. So, once again, here's Lincoln extending the meaning of the war. So there are now 3 war aims. 1, preserve the Union. 2, end slavery. But it's about more than that, says Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address. The war is about promoting preserving government by the people. On a global scale. So those are just 3 of the reasons why I think the Gettysburg Address is maybe the most important speech ever given by a president. What's the Civil War about? Preserving the Union. It's about ending slavery, but it's about much more than that. It's promoting, preserving government by the people on a global scale.